Hey guys, Steven here back with another video, and today I want to talk about what I do with my income or my paychecks when they come in. Like, where does it go? Does it go towards investments, savings, and sort of my thought process around that. And I'm going to talk about how you can possibly build your own strategy. Of course, not financial advice. I'm only 20, so I do not have a crazy amount of experience, but I'm going to break down sort of the way I thought about this. And the great thing about this is it's going to be different depending on several factors. Everyone has different goals, everyone has different priorities. So for me, I am like almost 100% invested in the stock market, whereas some people wouldn't want that risk. And some people may want to be a little bit more conservative with where their money goes. So I'm going to talk about the different factors that have led me to going with this strategy. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to hit the thumbs up button and let's get straight into it. So right here, we have a little spreadsheet, and not to confuse anyone, on the right side here is the time horizon. So this is how long I want the money in this certain category. The way I think about it is the more risky something is, so something like a high growth tech ETF has a longer time horizon. Because I'm only 20, I can take on that risk, but something that I need within a year or a few months might be less risky, like VTI, which is one of the safest ETFs you can get. So for example here, the 25% and 13% that take up my income are tax related things, right? So I need it within a year. So this 25% here is actually what I had to pay for taxes, or around how much I had to pay because I'm self-employed. So for most people who are employed and have employment income, they probably don't have to pay a lot of taxes. They might actually get some money back with their tax return. But for me, because I pay at the end of the year, I actually have to think about that ahead of time. So before we actually get into the video, I want to show you how to create a spreadsheet, and you'll actually realize throughout this video that your spreadsheet is not going to look anything like mine, just because you can see that every single thing, around 93% of my income is invested, and only around 7% is spending money or saving. And that's because I'm 20. So let's just say you made $1,000 and then you made like $500 on your side hustle. You want to make sure that you press equal and add those numbers. And then you want to lay out the categories. So let's say you have debt repayment, car, mortgage, stocks, savings. Now maybe type out the weighting. And this is important just so you have a good visualization of where your money is going. So let's just say you are already heavily invested in stocks and you want to lower that weighting. It's a lot easier to do that if you just have it listed out. So let's just say you want 10% for debt, 20% for car, 40% for mortgage. So that's 60% so far, 20% stocks and 20% savings, right? And then in this middle column, you want to press equal and you want to tap on the income. So this is the H16 cell, and you want to multiply it by the weighting. So in this case, it's 0.1, and that's why I listed it out. 0.1 equals 10%. And so you can see here that you would pay $150 towards your debt repayment, and then you could go ahead and do the same thing for each of these. And the reason why you want to have the weightings like this and list it out also is another reason is, like I said, you can change out these pretty easily. You just want to make sure it equals up to 1. So you can see as I change the percentage, the number changes as well. That's because it's multiplying this number. So just make sure it equals up to 1. Obviously this doesn't equal up to 1, but this makes it a lot easier. And also you can change the income pretty easily. In fact, you don't have to add up all the numbers. You can just add a random number and it'll change it because it's selected H16 as the cell to multiply by the weighting number. So 25% of my income is actually invested in a broad market ETF, which is relatively safe, very diversified. And so if you don't know what an ETF is basically a basket of stocks that you can buy. So when you buy VTI, you get like a percentage of Google, a percentage of Apple, a percentage of Facebook. And so by doing this, you diversify your risk because you're investing in like hundreds of stocks. And so if one fails and the other do well, then you're probably going to do pretty well. And typically ETFs perform anywhere from like 7 to 12% a year. So you can expect that return. So some people may be thinking like, why would you put like 38% of your income in ETFs or stocks if the market crashes, right? Like what happens if the market crashes, right? So because I have enough income coming in every single year, even if the stock market crashes, the income I get every month could probably compensate for that. And I'll take a hit for that a little bit, but the chances that happens is very low in my opinion. And I'm only really invested in the stock market because I have enough income coming in. And so if that risk does come along, then I can make enough money to, make it work. But if you're like a student who's not making a lot of money, or you're not really in a secure job where you don't know if you're gonna get your next paycheck, then you probably don't want all your money in the stock market. You probably want an emergency fund or something like that. But because I'm young, I have relatively stable income, I actually put my tax money in the stock market. So this 25% goes into VTI, which is one of the most diversified ETFs. So that's why I put it in there. I don't want to lose any money, ideally. So VTI is an ETF that is relatively safe. And then 13% is in what I consider safe stocks. And I only do this because I actually research stocks. And so these are like the best risk to reward ratios for me personally. So at the moment, it's Google, Dropbox, and Corsair. But obviously, I wouldn't recommend anyone put 13% of their income into stocks if they don't want to, research stocks, right? This is only because I do it. And initially I actually had this with another ETF, but it overlapped too much with VTI. So there was actually no point of actually purchasing both ETFs. So I just switched it out with these 3 stocks at the moment. Next on my list is a house fund. So only 3% of my income goes into my house fund, which is for purchasing a house. At the moment, I have a lot in savings, so it's not really a big percentage of my income. So that's why only 3% goes into it. Right now, that 3% goes into a stable coin or a high interest savings account. So a high interest savings account will give you around like 1.2%. I think there's one with EQ Bank if you're in Canada. So I'll leave that in the description. So this house fund and this cash fund is basically just my savings account usually. So I'll go into a stable coin or a high interest savings account. So a stable coin gives you around like 7 to 10% interest. And this is a little bit more risky because there's always the chance that the stable coin just crashes. And a stable coin is the crypto equivalent of $1. So one stable coin represents $1. And by just holding that stable coin, in my case, I hold it in BlockFi, you actually get interest for holding that stable coin. And obviously this is not financial advice, but I'd rather hold my money in a stable coin that gives me like 7% interest than holding it in a high interest savings account. But there's always the chance that the stablecoin market and crypto market just crashes. So that's why some people actually are hesitant when it comes to putting their money in stablecoins. But right now I'm leaving it in BlockFi. They actually have a promotion going on right now, so you can check that in the description as well. Next, 3% goes towards debt repayment as well as just like cash. So usually this will be towards like my credit card, or I'll just hold 3% in my checking or savings account. And usually I don't spend a large percentage of my income anyway, so this is a very low number. Next is crypto. And I'm a big believer of crypto. Obviously, this is not financial advice, but I have a lot of crypto already, or else this number would be a lot higher. Right now, it's only 6.2%. As a total of my net worth, crypto is probably like 20%. And this is for retirement as well. So right now, I only invest in the 2 biggest cryptos, which is Bitcoin and Ethereum. And this is for retirement as well. I want some sort of crypto exposure because I do believe in it. And it's a smaller percentage compared to stocks because it's a lot more volatile. And I already have a lot in crypto. Next is 6.2% is in mid-cap growth ETFs. So already I have 25% in broad market ETFs. So broad market ETFs, although they're safer, they give you a lower upside just because there are already companies that are already established. Like think about Apple, Microsoft, Facebook. Those stocks are already established. And so they're going to be growing a lot slower than smaller companies like Etsy, Shopify, Square, PayPal. Right? There's a lot more growth potential with mid-cap companies. Because I want more upside, I do have a smaller percentage in mid-cap growth ETFs. And next I have 18.6% in individual stocks. So once again, I research stocks, so this is going to be different for everyone. Some people may not even want to choose stocks by themselves, but for me, it's actually fun. So 18% is in individual stocks. And I choose to do 18% because I don't want my portfolio to be predicated on me entirely. So around like 70 to 80% is just in ETFs that are widely diversified. So my money is still relatively safe in these certain ETFs, but I have fun with this 18%. And then 24.8% is in high growth ETFs like VUG and QQQ. So these are really like tech heavy. So like Tesla, Facebook, Apple, Microsoft. So a lot of really high growing tech stocks. So this is like this is where a quarter of my income goes. And these numbers are going to change because there's a few things. Like I haven't paid back student loans yet. I haven't gotten a house yet or a mortgage. I don't buy my own food right now. I don't have a car. So obviously these numbers are going to be different because of my age. And I actually listed out some factors that will affect how yours looks like, right? So one is your age. So when you're younger, you have a lot more time to make up for any losses, right? And when you're younger, you're at your peak income level, so you can compensate for any losses you make. So that's why people really encourage you to take risk when you're young, because it's really easy to make up for those losses because you're in your prime essentially, right? So age is a big factor, and when you're younger, you have the power of compound interest. So this calculator actually helped me get into investing because I saw these numbers. So let's just say you start with $1,000 and you only contribute $100 every single month until you retire. Like, let's just say you are 20 and you want to retire at 60, and an ETF usually returns anywhere from like 7 to 12%. So I'm going to just do 8% to be conservative. And then let's just say it compounds annually. So this 8% is an annual interest rate. And then we're going to calculate it. And so in 40 years, by only contributing $46,000, because of compound interest, you will end up with $283,000. Obviously, this is an estimation, but you can see the power of compound interest. So the beauty of compound interest when you're young is time works for you, meaning that if you start with $1 and you get 8% interest on that after 1 year, let's say you invest $1 in stocks, after a year it goes up 8% on average. The next year, let's say it compounds again at 8%. It doesn't compound $1 again. It compounds that $1 plus that previous 8% plus 8% again. And it does that over and over and over and over again for 40 years. And so that's why you want to start investing early, because you can see this graph. The contributions stay linear because you're investing the same amount every single month. I believe it was $100. But because of interest, every year you're earning 8% interest on top of the 8% interest you earned the previous year and the previous year and the previous year. So that's like obviously one factor that is going to affect how you invest and how much you invest. So that's why I'm fully invested in the stock market right now, just because I know I can take the hits if the stock market crashes. Historically, it will just go up. These are my prime years. I can make the money back pretty easily. And so it's not as bad as if I invested like 100% of my income at the age of 65 and I want to retire and then the stock market crashes, right? I'm eventually gonna face a stock market crash, but by that point, I'm gonna just put more money into the stock market. Next is the time horizon, right? If your time horizon is long, then I would just passively invest. But let's just say 64 and you're gonna retire next year, you wouldn't necessarily want to put all your income into stocks, and especially not high growth stocks that are very volatile. You want to have predictable income and predictable savings. Next is your risk tolerance. So in this case, you can see that a lot of my stocks are in a lot of my investments are actually in tech companies, growth companies, crypto, and I only have like 6% in cash or like cash equivalents. So this is going to be different for everyone. Some people don't believe in the stock market. Some people think it's risky. Some people don't believe in crypto. If you are a little bit more risk adverse, you might want to switch out the percentages. Like instead of having 25% in high growth tech ETFs, you want to have maybe 25% in cash. It's going to be different for everyone, but this is the way you would want to structure it and have a blueprint. So when you get $100, you put exactly this much money in each category. So by doing this, you gamify it a little bit and make it a little bit more fun. Next is your weightings. So this is what I just talked about. Some people, for example, want to spend more of their money. So this cash portion is going to be probably higher for them because they want to have more spending money. Some people may want to buy a house very soon. So this house fund would be a bigger percentage. Some people don't want to invest or want to invest maybe 20% of their income. So that would be a lot less. Like for example, you can see that $93.80 of this $100 is invested in the stock market or crypto. I don't think most people want to invest 93% of their income in investments. I feel like most people don't save that much. In this case, I'm only saving about 6.2% of my income. And this is not really savings. This is like spending money. So the weightings is going to be different for everyone. And also the end goal. What do you want to accomplish with this? Is this for retirement? Is this for a house? Is this for spending? Is this for a vacation? It's going to be different based off all those different factors. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy this video. This is really just how I break down my income. And by doing this, it actually encouraged me to save a lot of money. So I've been investing ever since like the pandemic started. And I think at this point, I probably saved around $40,000, $50,000. And before the pandemic, I had saved basically $0. And the biggest lesson I've learned is that you should always pay yourself first. Considering you're not paycheck to paycheck, if you pay yourself first, meaning you invest first and save first before you decide to spend anything, you will always have savings and investments. And obviously I do not have like a lot of expenses, but this is the way that I would think about structuring your income. And so maybe these categories are going to be different. Maybe you're going to put like car payment, you're going to put mortgage, you're going to put like childcare. And this way you can ensure that you are distributing your wealth properly and spending it correctly. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully it helped you out. My name is Steven, and I'll see you in the next one.